The Vale of Sirax on Kelafor was a tiger of blue shadows. Spiral trees exhaled phosphorescent mist. Thin rivers moved like circuit lines between rocks that sang with the wind. The Ninth Torvaan Tracking Squad advanced in absolute silence. 12 figures with flexible carapaces, 6 eyes per face. Bioluminescent stripes hidden beneath hunting filters. In the center of the clearing, a human campfire crackled as if mocking the night. A man turned meat on an improvised spit, whistling a terribly careless tune. "Human," said Commander Maravix, emerging from the shadows with the posture of a sentence. "You've been aware we've surrounded you for an hour." "I have," the man replied without looking, "and I appreciate the audience. Want a piece?" "Roast chicken." "I'm Luca Hart." Tarlix growled, offended by the confidence. "You recognize the Torvaan, famous predators, flawless trackers, indecent, night vision, and claws that make engineers cry. I've read the brochure." Mara took the human's pulse to steady. No metallic scent of fear, no metallic scent of fear. There was irony. "Why aren't you running?" she asked. "Because leaving before dinner is rude," Luca replied, finally lifting his eyes. "And because if I run, the moral of the story doesn't change." The breeze carried glowing pollen, and Kelafor's twin skies aligned their moons like mismatched jewels. Mara's sensors filtered drone whispers, but no visible human besides the crooked-smiled man. Still, something about the fire's arrangement bothered her. Stones too neatly aligned, logs cut with surgical precision, shadows placed exactly where they needed to be. "A board? A private joke?" Luca blew on the embers, and added, almost friendly, "I promise I won't bite tonight, unless I'm asked." Kelafor liked to remind everyone it was ancient. The ground creaked underfoot as if storing the fossils of storms. The mist, with a faint copper taste, left a shimmer on the Torvaan's antennae. Bren Oath, tactical analyst, projected a spherical map into Mara's visor. 12 vectors, 73 possible escape routes, 9 desirable outcomes. In all of them, the human should have run within the first 30 seconds. "Every creature runs," Bren said. "It's good for staying alive. Some of us evolved to chase what chases us," Luca replied, turning the spit. "It's called sweaty stubbornness. Arrogance with seasoning," Tarlix muttered. "Experience," Luca shrugged. "My ancestors hunted bigger things, until they learned to hunt horizons. Now we build metal trees and pretend we own the forest."
Mara
scanned the terrain again. Resin lines marked wind curves. Small camouflaged pits hid under leaves. And the clearing sat at the exact angle for sound to travel with a delay. She hated to admit it, but she admired the precision. "You're in Torvaan territory," she declared, asserting hierarchy. "The ritual of the hunt governs us, and the etiquette of dinner governs me." Luca smiled. "Rules everywhere. The difference is I brought cutlery." Kelafor shifted its moons. Above, an ion trail sliced the atmosphere. Below, Mara realized the human silence was less a void and more a frame. The campfire was a stage, and she was the audience that had paid dearly to watch. "We are shock predators," Mara said, with the cadence of an oath. "Fast, decisive, relentless, and we're persistence hunters." Luca countered, raising an eyebrow. "We don't win the sprint. We win that we're still walking. Long after everyone else sits down." OTH Fair, flank scout, tilted his head, and with that soft skin, those blunt teeth, skin that sweats, teeth that cook, Luca said, gesturing toward the makeshift pan. "Thermal regulation, campfire, and pot trio, worth an entire planet." Tarlkis clicked his claws. "Clan legends. Species manual," Luca corrected. "I'll record the audiobook version if you want." Bren checked the readings. "Heart rate, no fever, no fear? That's unnatural. Or it's training," Mara said. "Humans rehearse the impossible until the impossible gets bored." Luca chuckled. "Finally, someone who's read our reviews." A cloud of spores drifted through the light, and for a moment Mara saw multiple shadows of the human, as if the place had conjured alternate versions of him. Somehow, it fit. "And why are you alone?" Mara pressed. "Who says I am?" He replied, eyes glinting. "The audience always thinks the magician is solo until the cards drop from the ceiling." The truth clicked when Mara noticed the cuts on the tree trunks, not knife scratches, but guides for sound reflection. Stones arranged in a Fibonacci series, leaves layered to mask depressions. The whole field was a circuit of tricks, traps, Bren murmured, torn between fascination and anger. "Occupational safety," Luca corrected, turning his body like a host showing off a set. "You landed 3 days ago. I marked you 4 days ago." A dry click sounded above Ivy Kawahara. Came a light voice from the treetops. "Target 3, precarious position. If he sneezes, he falls." "Mateo Rojas, West Sector," another voice called from near the ground. "Synchronized claps trigger the pyro surprise." "Pretty one?" 2. Zoe Park reporting from the East Underground. Came muffled, all steady, and seasoned with explosives. The Torvaan turned at once. Instinct short-circuiting. Their blind zones were occupied. Someone had studied their angles the way one learns a difficult song. "How do you know our shadows?" Tarlix hissed. "Observation, statistics, imagination," Lucas said, raising a finger with a grin, "and a dash of rogue luck." Science would approve of half. For a second, Mara felt like a character in someone else's story. The stage was theirs, and she was still deciding whether the play insulted or taught her. What do you want? Humans, she asked. Conversation, food, and maybe a treaty without funerals. Luca replied. Flexible order. Above Califor stretched the brine belt, a ribbon of glittering debris reflecting the local sun like liquid blades. Along it glided Alliance freighters, varied monks and glass pods. Pirates who only respected the poetry of vengeance. Torvas Prime. Homeworld of the Torvaan was 2 jumps away. Forests of singing fibers. Seas of magnetized crystal. Helicoidal cities that looked like DNA sculpted in light. We're not barbarians, Mara said, with an ancient pride. We hunt to remember where we came from, and we adopt what once attacked us. Luca countered. Cultural bug. We take danger, give it names, recipes, birthdays. Insult. Tarokis growled. Coexistence patch. Luca retorted. Neighbors who borrow sugar and return it with cookies. The fire applauded in the form of sharp crackles. The scent of meat mingled with the wood smoke, and an unwanted hunger crossed the Torvaan line. Bren noted. Vulnerability through gustatory channels. You offer a banquet and ask for surrender, Mara accused. We offer dinner and ask for conversation, Luca corrected. If you surrender after, it'll be to the seasoning, not to me. The wind shifted. Intricate birds sang in glass-like frequencies. The night felt like an audience waiting for the next trick. Demonstration, Mara demanded. What kind of threat do you represent? Educational, Luca said. But I know the class likes a lab session. He lifted a compact weapon, matte black, with no sharp edges. ARX-11 supersonic. Doesn't fire a projectile. Fires wind. Very angry wind. He aimed at a spiral tree outside the circle and tapped the trigger. The air let out a shy wee for half a second. Nothing happened. Then the trunk vibrated, split into rings, and powdered into a necklace of suspended sawdust. The sound arrived after, as if reality had tripped on its own heel. The Torvaan recoiled. On instinct, Mara stayed, her secondary heart trotting. Arrogance in physics, she whispered. I call it a lecture with special effects. Luca holstered the weapon. Audience participation is optional, but earns applause. The radio crackled. Boss, the cheese sauce is ready, Ivy reported. Tortillas warmed, Zoe added, amused. Crispy diplomacy ready to serve. If this is a trap, Taralkes began. It'll be the tastiest in the sector. Mateo, replied Mara, realized she was smiling, just a little. A dangerous weakness, a necessary bridge. For a moment, the dilemma tasted like corn. If you can pulverize us, why don't you? Bren asked, still nursing his pride. Because that's not the goal, Luca said. We want to understand you, learn, maybe cooperate, with luck be friends. Humans have a verb for it, to pack pacify, turn predators. Into family, Mara repeated, as if the idea bit her. We've done it with wolves. Wild cats now rule sofas. We collect paradoxes like trophies, and if we refuse friendship, Tarlix asked, we try again, and offer dessert. Thermal cases open like humble vaults, strips of meat, steaming beans, green salsa, cheese cascading in small rivers. Nachos cracked like morning ice. We don't share a table with prey, Mara said, out of honor. Good, because I'm not prey, Luca said, sarcastic. I'm the host and a decent cook. Bren picked up a triangle, hesitated, and bit. The salt lit threads of memory. A collective sigh followed, claimed by no one. This weakens defenses, Tarlkes admitted. This opens conversations, Luca corrected. Crispy diplomacy, as I said, served hot. The hunter circle kept its shape, but the ice at the edges turned to water. Mara stepped closer, took a tortilla, and tested the limits of her own tradition. Califor seemed to listen. Curious? The spiral trees tilted their crowns like antennas. The fire satisfied sliced light into pieces. If you're studying us, what have you learned? Mara asked. That your honor is a column, not armor, Luca said. It bends without breaking. You can talk to columns? And from you? We've learned that jokes are shields, Bren replied. Your sarcasm hides algorithms. It's my professional charm, Luca said, raising a nacho and toast. A shooting star scraped the clouds, leaving a green trail. Ivy descended from the trees like a whisper. Mateo emerged from the ground with dust-covered hands. Zoe shook off her jumpsuit with a small smile. No tricks. Tarlix challenged. Just food, Ivy replied. The rest can wait for coffee. The night then felt less like a trap and more like a porch. Some conversations fit better under repeated moons, some decisions to back aboard the ship. Hours later, the Ninth Squad gazed at Torvas Prime through the crystal viewport. Salt seas singing with magnetic currents. Fiber clearings vibrating like harps. Helicoidal cities shimmering like living circuits. Space around it buzzed with Anth merchants, Lear ambassadors, happy smugglers. Everything looked the same, but something a taste of corn perhaps had slipped into the script. Mara set a translucent container on the table. Inside, nachos and tortillas in indecent abundance. Evaluate, she ordered. Bren sniffed, measured, noted. Tarlks bit, and finally laughed a rare sound. Hunting someone who cooks our objections isn't efficient, he said. They showed they could split a tree with wind, Bren recalled. Then they fed us. Mixed strategy, Mara concluded. Controlled strength, aggressive courtesy. It's hard not to respect someone who spares you right after proving they don't have to. In the hangar, curious technicians passed by. Stole triangles, smiled. The report gained an addendum. High risk of pack pacification. Countermeasure. Learn the recipe. No one really disagreed. Hyperspace light licked the hull as the ship aligned for the jump. Mara, still with the taste of salsa in her mouth, considered the phrase she'd write for the history books. To be, or not to be domesticated. It sounded too grand to fit in a pot of corn and cheese. And yet, decision, Bren asked. Reflection, Mara replied. If destiny comes with sauce, maybe we get to choose the flavor. Tarlks raised a nacho like an insignia. If they domesticate us, let it be with respect and moderate chili. Laughter escaped, strange and honest. The ship dove into the folded corridor. In the final report, Mara wrote, human contact suggests edible alliance. Recommend menu negotiations. In a private note, ARX-11 supersonic weapon, demonstrated. Supersonic ego, same. On Califor, Luca closed the field kit, satisfied. If we didn't make friends, we made nacho fans, he murmured, gentle sarcasm in his voice. The universe is big, but it has good taste. The wind carried the smell of corn deep into the forest. Somewhere, a freshly pulverized tree decided to forgive. Human drama is efficient for parties.